Despite being limited in spring practice, Caleb Downs is still making his presence felt by being a leader and student of the game.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Hump Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And during today's show, we'll take a look at Chris Henry Jr.'s official visit schedule, as well as one thing Igbinosun must work on during the offseason. But first, the Buckeyes are very, very fortunate to have one more year of Caleb Downs playing football in Columbus. His 1 year, his first year wearing the Scarlet and Gray, was phenomenal. It was a lot of fun to watch. He broke a 10-year drought of scoring a touchdown on a punt return. He was great on defense. His instincts were off the charts. His tackling ability is next level. He's a future first-round pick. These were all things to describe the player, Caleb Downs, things we saw, things that will happen in the future. But currently, he's limited during spring practice. And that sucks for him. Sucks for the entire team. But he's still making his presence felt. He's helping the younger guys. He is still a leader on the team. He's also learning from a new defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia and trying to be a sponge. He's not letting a nagging injury limit his presence and limit his desire to learn from Matt Patricia. He is still doing all of those things while being limited during the spring, and I love every part of that. This young man is a kind of guy you want on your football team. If you're a coach and you're trying to find a guy that can play safety, that might be able to move to the other side of the ball, we'll talk about that later on in the show, you want him on your football team. A guy who's a coach on the field. He's literally a sponge. You tell him something, he absorbs it, and then he tries to help the other players on his team learn that very thing. He helps with technique. He helps them figure out better ways to diagnose plays. He helps people understand why he moves in certain ways before the snap of the ball so they can realize that's what he's keying on. That's what he's looking at. He saw that on film. It's happening here on 3rd and 6, and he's taking advantage of all of those things. Not everybody's going to be able to do the things mentally Caleb Downs does, and it's even rare for people to do the things he does on the football field with his physical traits. But a guy like him is what you want. Now, the nagging injury, not really sure what that is right now, but it's no surprise that Downs is a limited participant in practice. There are a lot of guys out there that are going to be limited. Ryan Day said it earlier. There's 3 categories during spring practice. Guys that ain't played no ball, guys that have played a little bit of ball, and guys that have played a lot of ball. Caleb Downs is the 2-year starter. 1 year down at Alabama, 1 year at Ohio State. He's played a lot of ball, man. And this time of year is very valuable for him. Not so much valuable for the football that's happening on the field, but because he's learning, he's leading, and he's helping the Buckeyes in any way that he can. That's exactly what it's for. Think about guys when you watch your favorite NFL team. How many times do you see guys that are leaders that have been there for 5 or 6 or 7 years realize you go to a practice and they're not doing anything? Are they hurt? No. Then what is it? It's trying to save their body. It's trying to rest up. They don't want to allow the early wear and tear during the fall, during training camp, to allow them to not be a guy that can play in weeks 1 through 5 of the upcoming season. So you kind of dial it back a little bit. You limit their participation in practice. You try to do everything you can to protect them from themselves. Now, I don't know what the nagging injury is for Caleb Downs. It could be a lower body thing. It could be an upper body. I have no idea. But Ryan Day mentioned this during his media availability recently while talking about Caleb Downs being a guy to play running back. Now, many of you will remember a year ago, it came up that Caleb Downs had been in the running back room for a hot minute, and people were wondering if Downs would ever play running back for Ohio State. And this is what Ryan Day had to say about this topic this week. Quote, "It could be up for discussion in the preseason, but not right now." He goes on to say he's still coming back from a nagging injury. We want to make sure he's good to go, and he will be, end quote. And I'm right there with Ryan Day. Yes, it could be up for discussion in the preseason, meaning the fall, but not right now. And also, when it's up, it's possible for the fall during the preseason. I think it was last year too. It's just last year's running back room was so top heavy you were trying to plan and prepare to help both guys be as healthy as they could be throughout the entire season going into the playoff push. Now, neither guy missed extended period of time, which is huge. But if one guy went down, and I believe Judkins had a little injury in the Oregon game, I forget if he missed time in the following game, but I do remember you still had Travion Henderson, a guy who was banged up in his own right previously before that, but you had two guys that are top heavy. They're both going to get picked in the upcoming NFL draft. They're probably going to be day 2 picks at worst. I don't see either guy going to be in the 4th round. I think Henderson's a day 2 pick, 2nd round pick. Judkins is 2nd or 3rd round. That's great. It's great. Both guys were 1,000-yard rushers a year ago, too. I don't think Downs is going to be needed to play running back. I also have a good feeling the Buckeyes are going to go to the portal to get a running back. Now, the one thing about going to the portal to get a running back in the spring is that they haven't gone through winter workouts. They don't know the playbook. They don't even know Coach Loughlin's coaching style as well as the other guys do. So there's a learning curve and there's an uphill climb for them to take. But still, that's still a good option. You must entertain and even heavily pursue a running back in the portal during the spring. But for Downs to possibly play running back, I wouldn't be mad about it. I said it a year ago. I wouldn't be mad about it at all. Now, it's something, it's not going to be an every game thing. Do I think Ohio State's going to roll out there against Texas and say, well, we got James Peoples, and we got Donaldson, and we got these true freshmen that are dudes. You got some guys, a guy in Sam Williams-Dixon who came back that's pretty good in his own right, but let's play Caleb Downs. I don't know if that's the time to do it. Now, could it come up in the playoff? Yes. Could it come up against Michigan in a special package? Absolutely. But I don't think that game against Texas is the time to pull that trick out of the bag. Now, if you're in a situation in that game and you feel like this Swiss Army knife that is Caleb Downs is the right person to call on in a particular situation, great. But 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen unless you can't get somebody in the portal. The guys that are on the roster in the running back room, they're not getting the job done, and you need someone to just shake things up. In comes Caleb Downs. But I think that's just a rare situation. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think that Caleb Downs is going to continue to be this kind of guy that you want. You want coaches on the field. Now, he is very fortunate to have a dad that is a football coach. He's very fortunate to have a brother who's currently playing in the National Football League. So you're a coach's son. You have a brother who's playing at the highest level. So you have so many resources at your disposal that a lot of guys don't have. A lot of guys don't have the ability to tap into a relative that's coaching football or a relative that's currently playing in the NFL or even previously playing in the NFL. A lot of people don't have that. So Downs has his own God-given ability. Downs has his own family ties to help him get better at football. But he also has the coaching staff to help him get better. They're going to push him. They're going to encourage him. They're going to do everything they can to help this young man be the player he can be. Yeah, he's limited in spring practice. He's still helping his team out. He's making his presence felt. And there's another Buckeye that can work on some things right now to make his presence felt in the fall. We'll dive into that man next. This episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Tim Walton speaks, and I listen. Every time a man has something to say, I'm sitting there. If it's something circulating on the socials, I get my phone out and I turn the volume all the way up to hear what OG Walt, as the kids call him, has to say. And Tim Walton recently got behind the mic, started talking about some guys that are in his room, and he has something to say about Davidson Igbinosun. I'm not going to read a quote this time. I'm not going to do that. No. I'm just going to read kind of the thought that's in Tim Walton's mind in regards to what Igbinosun has to work on this year. You probably guessed it. It's them penalties. Because homie cannot continue to be a liability out there on the field. Yeah, he made a phenomenal interception before halftime against Penn State. But everybody and their mama saw that man in the playoff. Pass interference, holding. Hey, man, you got to work on the penalties because that yellow laundry on the field is because of you. And Tim Walton says Igbinosun's penalty issues from the past 2 seasons, they're correctable. And he believes that he's working with Igbinosun, or not, he believes he is working with Igbinosun right now on doing a better job of moving his feet so he doesn't have to reach as much. And that makes me wonder, was this an issue when he was at Ole Miss? Now, I didn't really watch him play for the Ole Miss running Rebels when he was down there in the southern portion of the country. So I don't know if this was a game-by-game issue. I don't even really remember this his first year playing at Ohio State. We know what happened last year. Oh, but do we know? There were so many tweets. There was a lot of things said that are words that that have 4 letters in them. People are out here just so upset because Igbinosun can't keep his hands off the opponent. And when I was just sitting here thinking about Igbinosun's penalty issues and Tim Walton talking about working more with his feet instead of trying to work with his hands, it popped into my head was some very elementary things I learned as a youngster playing rec league basketball. You play defense with your feet, also with your hands, but you can't be reaching. You got to keep your feet moving. You have to know the right thing to look at when you're out there playing defense on the basketball court. If you follow the ball, okay, cool. There's going to be some consequences. There might be some pros too. If you follow somebody's belly button, okay, you're getting somewhere. There will be some pros. There'll be some cons. If you follow somebody's eyes, buddy, you might get fooled. There might be some pros there. It's going to be a lot of cons. You must have your eyes in the right spot. You must always be moving your feet on the basketball court. It doesn't matter if you're playing defense or offense. Don't stop. One of my biggest complaints about basketball players, I'll get back to Igbinosun in a second, is basketball players that are get the ball, dribble, and everybody else on the basketball court with them, the other 4 guys, they stop and watch. So me in the stands, watching somebody play basketball, if they're the point guard or if they have the ball in their hand, I'm watching just because I'm a spectator. I want to be entertained. I want to watch a good game. I want to see something competitive. Then I start getting frustrated because homie's teammates are acting like me. But they're not in the stands. They're on the court, sitting there watching, got their hands crossed and sitting there. But he dribbling. I'm going to go get me some popcorn. I want to get me a drink. Hey, you want some candy? I'm going to get that too. Next thing you know, shot clock's down to 2. Oh, shot clock violation. Why? Because he had to work by himself while everybody else stood around. Now on defense, go to the other side of the ball. On defense on the basketball court, what do we find? The best defenders are guys that are always working with their feet. They're keying the right thing on the guy with the ball. They're not trying to hold. They're not trying to grab. They're not swiping or reaching. No, they're working with their hands, but it's their feet that are doing a lot of the work. And their hands are doing some good stuff too, but they're not stuck in mud and leaning to their left to reach, leaning to their right. No, they're working with their feet, with their hands, but their feet never stop. And one of the biggest issues, I think, for Igbinosun is Tim Walton's right on. He will get there, and instead of running through a receiver's hands or running with a receiver until the ball gets there, he tries to grab, tries to hold, tries to stop, tries to look. I don't know if he's keying the right thing. Because at some point you're guessing to guess, but you're guessing because you don't know what to do. Or maybe you know what to do, but you're struggling to do it consistently. This stuff is correctable. Yes, I agree with Tim Walton that this stuff is correctable. Where I differ is it going to be correctable this offseason? I don't know if it's really a differ because I believe it's correctable and he's going to work to do it this offseason. I don't know if Igbinosun is going to be able to work enough over the next few months to get there. He can work enough. He can't work enough. Sometimes those old tricks creep back up, and it's hard to cut that bad boy off. But you got to do it. You don't want to get, you as a fan, you don't want to get to the fall. Let's just go to week 1. Big Ten Squad Show, we talked about this recently. It comes out tomorrow. And talked about Ohio State and Texas week 1. I forget what part of the show I talked about that game, but it just popped in my head. I'm thinking, wow, you open up with a banger. You open up with one of those games that you just dream of having in a season at all. Last year, knocked Texas out of the playoff. The upcoming year, you could open up and stay 1-0, and you could open up with a loss, and that loss could be huge. Man, it's going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch up with in prime time. I'll dive into that later. Not right now, though. But in that game, Texas is going to have some dudes on the outside. They got Arch Manning, a guy who's – I have looked at the Heisman favorites lately, but I think he would be an early favorite to be the Heisman, probably in top 10. Because, one, he's a Manning, but 2, that dude got some – he dude's skilled. Igbinosun going into that game, it's going to be someone that if I'm Sark, I am keying that young man, going at him early. Did he learn his lesson from a year ago? Is he still going to hold players like he did last year? Is he still going to work with his hands and not work with his feet like he needs to? Sark's going to find out very early. Because Sark's a good coach. Any good coach would. If you know a guy's a liability and you're unsure if he's learned his lesson from the previous season, target him. Over and over and over and over again. Target him. Let's go back to basketball for a little bit. If you're a basketball coach and you know there's a big man that's a liability in the pick and roll, what are you going to do? Do a pick and roll over and over and over again. Now you have plays where the pick and roll is a staple in it. It kind of helps you get into the offense and get the ball moving around, but you're trying to utilize that pick and roll. Make that big man make a decision. And 9 times out of 10, if he struggles with it previously, he's going to struggle with it in that game too. You're playing your cards right, and you're trying to do everything you can to get an upper hand. Not mad about that. But if that man's a liability, you're going to target him. Sark's going to do the same thing with Igbinosun. But there's plenty of time. Well, I have my own doubts about IGB being a guy that's going to be able to get away from the penalties. There's plenty of time for him to put that work in, to do everything Tim Walton suggests for him to do and needs him to do, to be a guy that does not get as penalized as much in the fall. One guy that won't be penalized well in the Buckeye uniform in the fall is Chris Henry Jr., and we haven't taken a look at his official visit schedule lately. Let's do that next. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, y'all, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now, I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. It's been a hot month. Well, the previous month was very, very hot for Ohio State on the recruiting trail. The Buckeyes are up to 8 verbal commitments in the 2026 recruiting class. We're going to ramp up the recruiting talk over the next few weeks leading into the spring game. Not the spring showcase. It is a spring game. And even going into the months of May, June, and July, because my goodness, the Buckeyes should get a lot of verbal commitments over the next few months. One verbal commitment the Buckeyes already have is from 5-star receiver Chris Henry Jr. He is a Buckeye currently playing, future Buckeye. Upcoming year in high school is his final year, and his official visit schedule is one that I think all of you deserve to look at. And Chris Henry Jr. has done something very, very interesting with his recruitment. He has decided to only take one official visit. It's to The Ohio State University. Yes, the young man has shut down his recruitment already. Official visit season hasn't even started yet, but he is completely locked in on Ohio State and completely locked in on not going anywhere else and taking no more visits. His word is his bond, and that's as good as putting pen to paper and signing on that line to say you are going to do something. I love this man. I'll dive into more of the official visits that he canceled recently, but my goodness, you want a young man at this age to know that when you make a verbal commitment, when you get somebody your word, that's the same as signing on that line. You don't go away from that because it's as good as a handshake. You don't go away from that. You stick to what you say. You believe what you say. You stand on what you believe. And that's it. And for a young man, just at the age that he is, I was just saying high school, no matter what grade you're in, there are so many different things pulling you to the left, to the right. So many people influencing you, from your teachers to the guardians in your life, the parents in your life, your coaches, your team. There are so many things pulling you so many different directions. And now you've got teams trying to lure you in monetary ways to go to this school, to go to that school, and, hey, come on this visit. I got some dollars for you. So many people trying to make you change your decision, and you standing on business at this age. Hey, man, I ain't clapped it up on the pod in a long time, but I got you for this because this is the kind of stuff I really enjoy as a young man, standing on what he believes, making a commitment, and not going to go away from it. Now, some of the official visits this young man canceled, they are from the biggest names in the sport. He was scheduled to take an official visit to Oregon, to USC, to Miami, and with them pesky Oregon Ducks. But he said, nah, man, I'm locked in. And last summer, he made a comment about his commitment. I'm going to read this quote to you here quickly. And it's going to speak volumes about this young man, his maturity, his upbringing, the guardians in his life currently, the people around him in his circle. And it's just going to make you love this young man even more. Quote, I'm always locked in. I'm just still enjoying the process of just being a recruit because this is only happening one time. So, I'm still going to just enjoy it. The other schools, I tell them, yeah, it's going to be really hard to try and get me to flip because it's Ohio State. This is where I want to be, end quote. And Devin Sanchez also made a comment. I'm going to read a quote from him, but made a comment about him being at Ohio State. He didn't play in Texas, but he also shut his recruitment down after committing to Ohio State. And he said Ohio State felt like home. A little bit of what he said was up here. I just felt like it was home. With Coach Walton, Coach Day, they're making me feel important up here. That's what you want. This is the kind of, not just the players you want, they're talented. I mean, they got God-given ability and They put the work in. Like all the same things these 4 and 5 stars are doing all the time. They're doing those same things. Sometimes guys are just more talented. They have more ability. Chris Sherry Jr. is one of those guys. Devin Sanchez is one of those guys. They're just blessed in certain ways. However, when you're a highly coveted recruit, it would be so easy for you to follow the trend of the wind. What's hot right now? Okay, you committed to Ohio State. You came off a visit. You were on cloud 9. They did everything you wanted them to do, and then some. Okay, cool. I wanted to commit. Next thing you know, you go to recruiting camp in Oregon. It's a different place, far away from home. But, man, they got these facilities. They got different jerseys every week. They got Phil Knight money. Man, I want to go play for them. Okay, cool. And then you entertain them, and you realize, hold on. I committed to Ohio State recently. I can't just flip that quickly. Okay, cool. Let me go on another visit, man. Let me just go ahead and live it up. And then you go on and you go to Texas. And that's the home state. That's the Longhorns, man. That's big time. And they don't really hit you like Oregon did, but they're really close to Ohio State. Okay, cool. You still on cloud 9. You right there still leaning Ohio State, but it's in the backyard, man. The homies can come watch me play. You go to Oklahoma. You go to the rival school, and you go to all these visits, and you're trying to figure out, man, what is it? Is it this place? Is it that place? No. At the end of the day, you realize you made a commitment to a place that felt like home. Yeah, you were on cloud 9 after that visit, but after talking to your people and realizing Ohio State has everything you want, especially come up with a national championship, you stick to your word. You believe that you made the right decision originally, and you're not going to go away from it. That is what you want from all these athletes. The difficult part is they're between the ages of 15 to 18. It's tough. It's very similar to what I was talking about with the running back for the 29 class Ohio State recently offered. Yes, he's in the 8th grade. That man's very, very talented. I mean, trust me, he's advanced. I thought he was a sophomore in high school when I was watching him play. No, he was in the 8th grade. He's very talented. But for him to be in 8th grade, I believe I was 14, somewhere maybe I was older than a lot of kids, so maybe 13 in the 8th grade. There's a lot of growth, maturing that happens between the ages of 13 to 18. There's a lot of physical maturing that happens, mental maturing that happens. There's a lot of decisions you make at 13 you wouldn't make at 18. You have a better handle on who you are, how to handle various situations. You may have a car, maybe you have a job, more responsibility. There's a lot of things different with you between the ages of 13 to 18. So much changes that it's almost expected for people that commit early. But a lot of them will decommit or flip to go somewhere else. I think people DM me about Ohio State players and tell them, man, I like the recruit. He's a talented kid, but he can fall in, go all in, go hard with this kid in high school, man. I kind of expected to decommit or to flip somewhere. Why? That's the nature of the beast. This is college football. Well, no, excuse me. That's high school football. Texas, Oklahoma, USC. Now, I bet North Carolina's going to come out there and try to get some guys too. Florida, Miami, Florida State, Georgia, Alabama. Fill in the blank school. What's going to happen? I'm going to try to lure them away from you. It's the nature of the beast. When there's a kid of the caliber, not even the caliber, just a kid like Chris Sherry Jr. that says, I know I'm a highly sought after player. All these schools are going to try to wine and dine me once I'm there on campus to try to get me to flip to them and to dodge Ohio State. Now, man, that young man, I believe, committed to Ohio State the summer of 23. Almost 2 years ago was a time that he committed to Ohio State. He's had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to say, nah, I'm going to go against that commitment, go somewhere else. Nope. He was ready to make that commitment when he did, and now he is standing on business. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Wednesday and making this show your first listen of the day. Make sure you make your second listen of the day. The Locked On College Basketball Podcast with Andy Patton and Isaac Shade. Yeah, we're just a few days away from the tip-off of the Final Four and the men's tournament. And you want to make sure you're tapped in a lot on college basketball to get the preview you want and need and desire heading into what should be a phenomenal Final Four. Also, the national championship games on Monday. They'll have you locked in for that game, too. You can find Locked On College Basketball and Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes right here on a hump day. We'll see you next time.